Hello everyone, I'm Uberswe, and today we're building a beginner XP farm using the Crave mod. This farm will be cheap to build and only uses 2 water wheels. First, I'll show you the mechanics of how the build works, and then we'll build a structure around it to make it look nice. This is build 18 of my 30-day Crate mod build challenge, where I do 30 different builds, with each build taking no more than 1 real life day to build. And each build has to fit inside this 25 by 25 plot. For the floor of this build, I'm using different variations of oak logs to decorate with, and then for the walls, I'm using birch and limestone in different variations. I did use some spruce here, and then we have more stripped oak, and this is going to be the place where we're going to kill our silverfish. And now to begin our XP farm, I'm going to go ahead and set up the deployers and everything that are going to place the infested stone, and then we're going to break them. So to begin, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3 blocks, and then we're going to remove these 2 blocks. I'm using linear chassis here, but you could use any block for this. And then we're going to go out 1 in each direction, and we're going to turn this into a 3x3. And then here, I am gonna double up and just build this out like so. And then right here, we're gonna place a double chest. And then I'm gonna have a smart chute right here. And the reason we need a smart chute is we need to put a filter on it later on. That's why a regular funnel won't work for this farm. Now, for the deployers, I'm just gonna place them out so they're kind of in a line here. Later on, we'll probably pick these up again and place them down just so we can change our filters, because the filter here needs to be infested stone. Next, we're going to go ahead and super glue this entire assembly. So we're just going to go in the bottom right corner here, and then go up to the top left corner and just glue that entire block. Then on top of that, I'm going to place a mechanical bearing facing down. Then we're going to put 2 shafts on top of that, and then finally a sequential gear shift. And this sequential gear shift is going to allow us to just slightly rotate this enough so that it places blocks, and then it's going to snap back into position and break those blocks. And on top of our sequence gear shift, we're going to place 2 encased chain drives, and this one is going to be facing down just like so. Then after that, we're going to place 2 small water wheels like that. And now I'm going to use a little bit of stone here just to kind of block off all the sides here, because we want water running across these water wheels, and I don't want the water just running everywhere. So we're just going to close this up. We'll come back and we'll decorate this later. For now, we just want to make this a little bit functional. We'll go ahead and close this, and then we can also put some casing right here. That's going to block the water there. I mean, technically the shaft will block the water, but it just looks a little bit nicer with casing, and it's free in survival to use casing to decorate shafts. And then we're going to go ahead and just place our water right here. And there we go. Now we got power on both of those water wheels, and we're generating a total of 512 SU. Now for the sequence gear shift here, we can go ahead and configure this and probably set it to like 15 degrees, and we can turn it at double speed. And now when that receives a redstone signal from a button, for example, it's just going to ever so slightly rotate this, and then it's going to snap back into position. So just like that. And that should be enough rotation to have these deployers place blocks. We might have to come back and like tweak this a little bit. We might have to go a little bit higher, but not more than 40. I think that should be, yeah, we don't want to go higher than 40. But you kind of want to find a sweet spot here where the deployer is going to place blocks. So they need to go far enough to place blocks, but you don't want to go over 45 degrees, because then it's going to like switch to a different position. And it's also not going to be very fast. Now we need a way to feed this with infested stone. So we're going to put a depot on top of the smart chute here. And then we're going to put a stone next to it. This is temporary. I'll replace it with something nicer later. But on top of that, we'll have a chest, and then we'll have a brass funnel on the side. And here we want to make sure that this arrow here is pointing outwards so that it's like actually putting things on the depot. If it's like this, it's only picking stuff up. And then we want a shaft here and a shaft here. I'm looking at that hitbox on the right side, as you can see here. And then I'll just place a mechanical belt by right-clicking on the 2 shafts. Then I'll place a brass funnel right here, and when our belt is going this direction, it's going to receive items. If the belt is going in the wrong direction, it's going to transfer items the wrong way, and we don't want that. But we want to move items out of a vault, so we're just going to do a 2x2 vault here with a brass funnel. Just like this is how you want it. And then this vault is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks long. So a 2x2 vault and 4 blocks long. Now, if we move to the opposite side here, we can go ahead and put a soul campfire at this level right here. And then we'll put an encased fan right here so that it's like blowing onto the soul campfire. You want to make sure that this fan is like blowing over the fire, because depending on how you build this and which direction in the world you build this, you might end up with a different rotation than me, and then the fan is going to spin the wrong way. Usually you can fix that by just placing a gearbox behind the fan or near the water wheels where the source of the power is coming from, and that will reverse the rotation of the entire system. Or, you know, by placing the gearbox right here, you would just reverse the rotation of this fan. Now, here I'm going to place a little bit of stone, just like this. Once again, it's just temporary. And then we're going to place a fan here. We're going to take our wrench and we're going to rotate it twice so that you can see that the blades are facing this way. And then we're going to take our bucket of lava here and place a lava right there. And what we're going to have here is we're going to have smelting happening right here to turn cobblestone into stone. And then it's going to go into this chest. And then finally, the stone is going to go here. It's going to get haunted by the soul campfire here. And that's going to turn it into infested stone, where it's finally going to go into our chest here, which is part of the contraption. So to connect the rotation, we can go ahead and put a encased chain drive here on the back. And then to give these fans some power, we're going to go ahead and put a speed controller up on top of this encased chain drive here. And we're just going to wrench it to rotate it. We're going to use another encased chain drive just to build up like this. And then we're going to put our large cogwheel here. I'm going to take a shaft and go over like this. And we're going to put a gearbox right here. Rotate that gearbox upwards and put a shaft here and an encased chain drive on top of that. And now we have power to our speed controller. And you can also see that our fans are blowing. So if you happen to go in front of this fan here, you'll see that you get haunted. Then to connect the rotation to our belt, we're just going to put an encased chain drive here. And we're going to extend this encased chain drive one over just like so. And then we can get rid of this block right here and place a shaft right there that connects our encased chain drive to the belt. You can see the belt is now moving in the correct direction here. So it's going to pull items out of the vault and take them into the chest. And we can also set this filter here to be stone, because we want stone to go into that chest. And the filter on this side, we don't have to set it to anything. So you want it to be empty, but you want to extract exactly 64 blocks at a time so that we haunt an entire stack at a time. We don't want to be haunting like partial stacks. Now we need a cobblestone generator to generate cobblestone, which we can then turn into stone. So I'm going to place 4 hoppers like this, and then we're going to place a threshold switch on top of this hopper just like so. And you can see that it's facing correctly by this arrow up here. And then I'm just going to take some stone and we're going to place that under like so, and just bring that out a little bit like this. Now I'm going to place 1 stone up like that, and then we're going to have a redstone repeater right here. I'm adding this because we basically want a automatic on-off switch for our cobblestone generator so that it doesn't overflow. So using a threshold switch, we can do that very easily. Then up on top, I'm just going to place some stone blocks here, and we just have them as placeholders for our drills so we can place them just like so. And then we're going to have shafts on the back right here, along with a mechanical belt that just goes over them like so. Now, I just wanted to connect all the mechanical drills here, but I don't want it to conflict with our encased chain drive here, so that's why I'm using a belt to connect them. Also, I kind of realized that I'm using stone for all of this, and you probably want to avoid stone for your farm because, well, the silverfish can infest the stone. So yeah, this is probably a pretty bad idea. So make sure you don't use stone. Okay, I went ahead and replaced all my stone with cut limestone from crate instead. That should be a lot safer than using stone for your build. So just to avoid stone getting infested. So now we're going to put a clutch right here. So when this threshold switch, like when there's too much stuff inside the hopper here, this threshold switch is going to give off a redstone signal, and that's going to turn off our clutch, or it's going to turn on our clutch, which is going to turn off the cobble generator. And now we're going to hook this up like so. And I probably need some limestone down here just to prevent any kind of overflow of water or anything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to waterlog all our drills. So by right clicking on the drills, we can just waterlog them just like so. And then I'm going to build like a little area up here, which is going to house our lava. And of course, if you have fire tick on, be careful so you don't set the place on fire. Yeah, now you can't really see it, but in here we are generating cobblestone. Maybe we can use some frame glass just to kind of show you guys what's happening here. And all of that cobblestone is going into our item vault here, and it's going out on the belt, and it's being smelted and turned into stone. And then finally here, it's going to get haunted. However, it's actually not going to get haunted. It's going to drop down in the chest. So a temporary thing that we need to do is to get a lever. So with our lever in hand, we can go ahead and place the lever on top of this smart chute here, and then we right click to activate it. And that's going to prevent any items from going down into our chest here, because we want it to kind of haunt before we do anything with it. And you can see the chest is already filling up with 31, 36 stone. So we just need a stack and then it's going to pop out here. This isn't the fastest farm for infested stone, but I thought this was like pretty good for a beginner farm. Like it doesn't use a lot of power. It just like slowly generates infested stone. And you kind of just let it build up, and then you come over here and you'll have an entire double chest of infested stone, and that's going to generate a ton of silverfish, and you can use your farm, and it should be enough. However, if you need more XP for some reason, you could just expand this to, generate more cobblestone, give it more power, make it run faster. Everything will work. So you can very easily expand this. And now you can see our stone here is being haunted. And there we go. Our stone has now turned into infested stone. And I'm actually going to grab this first stack that we generated because I need to come down here to our smart chute and place a filter right there. And we also need to set the filter of all of our deployers. Now we can probably remove this temporarily to place one in there. We'll remove all of them. So you want to place infested stone as the filter for all of your deployers here. Oh, and be careful not to place a deployer as a filter. We don't want that. Okay, here we go. Filter, filter, filter. We now have that set up. So we can go ahead and turn this off. And now any infested stone that ends up here is going to fall down into our double chest. And it's now part of the contraption. And now what we can do is we can go ahead and get rid of this button here, and we can place a redstone link on here. And we're going to set this to receiver mode, and then we can give this a mossy cobblestone here. And this is going to be able to receive a redstone signal. And we're going to place that redstone signal right down here. And once again, to mossy cobblestones here. And if we give this a redstone signal now, you're going to see we got some silverfish. Perfect. The basic setup of our farm is working, and I'm going to go ahead and kill those silverfish real quick. Okay, here we go. I cleaned it up a little bit, and now we want this to work as an on-off switch, so we're going to do a little bit of redstone up here. So I'm going to get rid of this receiver here, and we're just going to put a limestone block right there instead. And then I just want to put some glass right here. Just kind of making this a glass window so you can see down and look at the lava and everything. I kind of want to show off all the components down here. And then we're going to have some redstone going back like this. We're going to have one pulse repeater like this and one like this. And then we're going to put redstone right here like so. And then we're going to need a little bit of redstone that goes back this way. And then we're going to put a block right here. And then we're going to put our redstone link up here. Make sure to right click it to change it to receiver mode. and then put 2 mossy stone or mossy cobblestone blocks in there as filters. I almost forgot. We need a pulse repeater right here. And then we're going to put a redstone torch right here. And now, if everything worked as expected, we should be able to come down here and just turn this on, and magic should happen. But it does not. Okay, did I mess up the interval here? Maybe I need to set this to 20? Oh, we messed up the intervals here. So we probably should have this at 20, and we'll have to change this to 20. So yeah, we need to increase the speed a little bit there. There you go. So you may have to toggle these speeds a little bit for yourself to make sure that it actually goes in a loop that triggers the farm here. But as you can see, we're generating tons and tons of silverfish, and it's actually getting quite loud over there. And if we flip the lever now, it should stop. Yeah, there we go. And when you're in survival mode, they will all come to you if you're standing here. So don't worry about them like going all over the place. And one thing I forgot was we want to put an off switch right here. So when the XP farm is on, we want to make sure that we shut this chute off. Just so that we don't like pull any items out as it's moving, because then we could get infested stone dropping down, which we don't want. So I'm just setting this to the same thing as we had up here, 2 mossy cobblestone as a signal and the redstone link in receiver mode. And that's the basics of how to build the XP farm. I'll make sure to include the schematic of this part of the build. So if you don't want the full schematic, you can only build this. And now we're going to do a little bit of building magic to finish up the build and decorate things a little bit. And there we go. We're now done with our build. So let's go inside and check it out. So I decorated a lot with these glowberries here. I really like the way they look here. And yeah, I put some lanterns here, and I like the contrast of the spruce and the birch here, and also the spruce and the limestone. And then I went for oak planks as the roof, as I kind of like that. And there's a little chimney back there with limestone as well. As we go inside, I put up some bookcases as I figured you'd probably be enchanting here where the XP farm is. And for that reason, I also stuck a bunch of anvils in here. So we got this little anvil closet back here. And then you also have a lectern here where you can keep notes about, you know, what you see with the silverfish. And there's also a bunch of storage here in case you need a place to, you know, keep all your enchanting books, for example. And up here, we also have our enchanting table in case you need to get some enchantments on your weapon here. And there's also a nice little balcony here where you can, you know, hang out and just enjoy the view, for example. Now, I currently have 0 XP, and there's a little bit of silverfish here already, but we're going to go ahead and start the farm, and we're going to see how much XP this generates. Oh, we already got 4 levels, 7 levels, 10 levels, 12. There we go, we got 30 levels fairly quickly. Let's kill the last of the silverfish here. Now, I think we can probably tweak our timing a little bit. So if we set this to, I don't know, 5 ticks or something like that, we'll just lower it a little bit. So now it should loop faster. And then if we go in here and we tweak this to maybe, let's do like 15 degrees. Let's see if that's enough. So now if we go ahead and try that again, you can see it's generating silverfish a lot faster. So this should get us to level 30 a lot quicker than the last time we tried. What was that? I think that was like 10 seconds or something. Maybe my editor timed that. I feel like that must have been like 5 seconds probably. But that was pretty quick. So there you go. That's a beginner XP farm that, you know, generates quite a lot of XP as well. I want to give a huge shout out to all my amazing Patreon supporters who helped me pursue projects I never thought were possible before. To everyone still watching, thank you. If you enjoyed the video, do give it a like and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more of my content. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.